Hi friends, welcome back. Welcome to Living on the Edge. Very happy to see you here. We are talking today about the ship behind me. It's the Celebrity Reflection. It's been a couple of months that I stayed several times on this ship. This is actually my fourth cruise for the past 2.5 months. There's a lot to talk about, a lot to share, of course, to answer some questions you guys had. But of course, as always, sit back, relax, glass of wine, popcorn, or whatever you would like. Let's begin. This video is of course going to speak about several things we have to explore on every ship to have our opinion about it and to be objective about it, right? So of course, let's start with the embarkation day. And I will be talking about the embarkation days in general, because this is, again, for the past couple of months, the fourth time I'm staying on this ship. So I have to say that most of the times on this ship, I actually left from Fort Lauderdale, Terminal 25. And from my understanding, Terminal 25 is basically the flagship terminal for Celebrity Cruises. I would say that only one of those 4 cruises was from Terminal, if I'm not wrong, maybe 27, the one actually right across the street from it. But yes, most of the cruises are departing from 25. It's a beautiful terminal, very welcoming. I do enjoy the aesthetic vibe and the efficiency in that terminal. That's very nice. For the most part, it's usually very, very efficient and fast if you show up in your designated time. I have to say that sometimes you need to help the crew, reminding them, for example, if you have some priority embarkation, stuff like that. But for the most part, it's actually a very, very pleasant experience, and you usually would be very, very quickly on board from the moment you get there. Of course, try to stick to, of course, your designated boarding time, but that's about it. As always, when you embark in the ship, you have to attend to your safety station, so you can register and of course show them that you're there, and they will explain you what to do in case of emergency. So you have to do that, and of course, as always, you can head right to your room with Celebrity just to leave your personal items in the room, so you will not need to walk with everything around, which is very, very convenient. So that was the same situation every single cruise I've been on this ship, and it went very smooth. Of course, most of us, after the embarkation, we usually end up going to lunch, either main dining if it's open, or if you have special invitation for special lunches, for different packages if you have, or if you stay in a suite and you have specialty suite restaurants and stuff like that. But in my case, I will actually talk more about what I would recommend doing in your embarkation date if you're trying to avoid those crowds. So I think, in my personal opinion, and this is, yes, it's a little bit upcharge, but of course it's up to you if you would like to do it or not. But my personal choice would be actually attending on your embarkation lunch to Sushi on 5. Sushi on 5 is actually Asian-themed, Japanese-themed restaurant. Very rich menu of sushi, things like ramen, dumplings, stuff like that. It is very, very nice, in my opinion. Every single time I've been in one of those restaurants on most ships on Celebrity, that was a very pleasant experience. But yeah, because this place is an upcharge, most people either not aware or just choose not to go there, of course, on their embarkation lunch. But this is a great time and a great opportunity to avoid any crowds, any mess, and have your lunch in a more quiet and private atmosphere. So yeah, this is something that you might check before the cruise. Sometimes they would offer packages, dining, all-inclusive. Sometimes you can pre-book it for maybe a little bit reduced rate for a lunch or something like that. But yes, I would definitely recommend during your embarkation to perhaps experience the Sushi on 5. Now we all hopefully settled in. Our rooms should be ready around 1 p.m. or so. So let's talk about the rooms and how they are. Now I will mention that all those times I cruised the ship, the 4 cruises, all of them, they were not all back-to-back, they were random. I had one cruise in June, and then there was one cruise in July. Then I have 2 back-to-backs now in August. But in all of them, I actually stayed in the Aqua Class balcony rooms. They all, in my particular case, were at the front of the ship on deck 11. And I have to say that all but one, but the one you actually see behind me, the layout of my rooms were a little bit opposite. And when I say opposite, basically what happened is the sofa you see behind me was closer to the window and the bed was closer to the entranceway. Now, I of course will not take you on a tour on this particular video. I'll link that down below, a full tour of the rooms. But yes, in my personal opinion, if you choose your rooms now, whether you're in Aqua Class, concierge, regular balcony, or even an ocean veranda, I would probably, they most look the same. I would probably try and choose the room with this layout behind me when the sofa is closer to your entryway. And the reason I recommend that, it's simply because, and again, it's strictly my opinion, I'm sure there is pros and cons for both, but in my opinion, when you open the door and your sofa is right here, I call it the living room area, and your bedroom is pushed a little bit back, it gives you a little bit more of a spacious feeling. So yeah, I would recommend try and book probably this layout, simply because you might feel more spacious and, you know, the door is a little bit further away from your bed. So that's something you all actually might like more. So yeah, this is my personal preference. Now, as far as the location go, so my rooms in all of those 4 cruises, as I mentioned, they're very much in the front of the ship on deck number 11, and I usually try to choose my rooms closer to the elevator area, so you will not have to stroll, you know, the whole length of those ships towards your room. I'm not sure why. This particular room I'm staying in, it's actually right across from this entrance towards the elevators area. But in this particular one, I can hear every single time when I'm on my bed or inside the bed, the bell for the elevators. So whenever somebody calling for an elevator or deciding to stop here, the elevator makes this bing bong noise and you can clearly hear that. I actually almost never heard people around. I never heard any noise or anything of like that, not from above, not from the neighbors, but the elevator is absolutely there. And as you can imagine, sometimes 6:30 a.m. when people decide to start heading towards the breakfast or spa or stuff like that, 6:30, 7 a.m., it's right there. So if you're a light sleeper or if you might be more sensitive to noise, I would probably suggest moving a little bit away from the elevator entrance, just to avoid the possibility of that noise or sound in your room. Now, I will say that only in this particular room is where I had this situation, and this is room number 1544. Let me check my door. Yes, 1544. So yes, 1544, in my opinion, even though the layout is wonderful, it's a little bit on the noisier side because of that elevator, but any other room that I stayed in on the ship, even 2 rooms next to me, I had never this issue. So I'm not sure what it is, but just keep it in mind when you choose your room. Aside of that, I feel that the rooms are very spacious and they laid out very nicely. There's plenty of storage, never lacked of that. Bathrooms of a very, very nice size. I also do enjoy that Aqua Class, for example, has, in addition to the regular shower, they have those more fancier, I would say, massage shower heads, so that's very, very nice. Yeah, nothing really to complain about. I know that some people mentioned that those rooms are more dated and that, you know, some furniture might feel more worn out. But I have to be honest, and this is my personal opinion, it's not specifically about celebrity or reflection, or it's with any cruise line. I feel that refurbishment and, you know, renewal and maintenance is something that pre-schedule, and most of the times it happens on time, unless there's something like pandemic or stuff like that. The condition of the furniture, besides being maintained, is also depends on us friends, you and I, and how we treat our rooms. So I would say, as long as, you know, we treat our rooms well, with the scheduled maintenance, everything, it should be pretty decent. On a personal note, I can say that I met one of my friends here on the ship, and he actually has, I think, well, either ocean view or a balcony room, I'm not certain. And we met, when we met, he said that his sofa, for example, was not in a great condition. And I suggested, just maybe speak to the front desk, see if they can maybe relocate you or something like that. And surprisingly, the second he mentioned something to the front desk, apparently the same day, they actually switched the sofa for him for one that was in a good condition. So all I'm saying is that the cruise line is there, of course, to make sure that you're happy and everything is maintained. Just have, a polite way to voice your concern. And on our end, let's just try to keep those rooms nice for ourselves for the next cruise. But as I mentioned before, the rooms are very nice in my opinion. They're spacious and very nicely laid out. Okay, so we spoke about the room, and going from the room, let's talk about the Aqua Class in general. As mentioned before, I stayed on four of those cruises in the Aqua Class category of rooms. The Aqua Class category of rooms does actually give you some additional extras to the regular balconies, and those, and I'm sure I'm missing some stuff, but aside from certain location on board the ship, you would have some extras in your room. For example, you have yoga mats, if this is something that you like to use. You do have binoculars right here. Let me show you, friends. You have those babies. So they provide you binoculars basically for, enjoy during your cruise. I remind you, enjoy during your cruise, do not take home. So yes, they give you those, that's very nice. In my case, from some reason, when I boarded, this was not in the specific room, so I'm hoping that none of the previous guests decided to have it as a souvenir. But yes, I told it to my room attendant and those were brought right away. So yes, you get those in extra. You have 2 mineral waters every day provided in your room. You have a bottle of welcoming sparkling wine. I heard that I think some said that the mattresses are different in the Aqua Class. I personally not 100% certain about that, so don't catch me on that. What else? You have, of course, the benefit or the ability to enter to the spa area, which basically has dry saunas, wet saunas, steam rooms, some, those hot stones beds. That's very nice. You have that during your whole cruise for everybody who stay in your room. But the biggest benefit that the people actually booking the Aqua Class for is the ability to access to the Blue Restaurant. And the Blue Restaurant is a dedicated restaurant which is strictly only for the Aqua Class guests. You cannot purchase any, package or access or anything to that restaurant, so it's only if you stay in those rooms. And this restaurant provides more healthier, I would say, option to the menu. In my opinion, the menu is very nice. There is nothing to complain about. Yes, there are absolutely more healthy options in the menu. However, I wouldn't call it necessarily, and again, this is my personal opinion, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's an extreme jump on the quality of food or the offerings compared to the main dining. I think that the main dining, for the most part on Celebrity, is very decent, and many times you can even order from, when you attend in Blue, you can order from the main dining as well. So you basically can enjoy both worlds, from the main option offered in the main dining and the Blue as a Aqua guest. I would say that the major benefit, and this is for me personally, is that because you are invited to the Blue Restaurant, there is almost no lines there to enter a restaurant. It's a more private, spacious atmosphere. So if you remember, sometimes when you go to the main dining, there might be a little bit of a line to enter to the main dining area. This is not something I ever experienced with Blue. So I would book the Aqua Class again. Of course, depends on the pricing, but mostly for the ability to enjoy the dining in a more private atmosphere, not necessarily because I need that particular food from the Blue. Because as mentioned before, the food in both cases, in my opinion, both in main dining and Blue, is very decent and enjoyable. So that should not probably be the main factor to decide whether you would like Aqua Class or not. But yes, aside from that, I do really enjoy the Aqua Class. And if you ask me, is it worth it? everything is a question of numbers. So it really depends how much the upcharge for that room would be, because aside from that, the rooms for the most parts are pretty much the same, whether you will be in a regular balcony or a concierge balcony or Aqua Class. It's just the extras of entering the spa, which, by the way, the access to the spa sometimes can be purchased directly at the spa, no matter the category you booked for yourself. So even if you're not an Aqua Class, you can walk to the spa and ask them how much would be the admission, either for a one-time or maybe perhaps for the duration of the whole cruise. So this is something that might be added. As far as the yoga mattresses or binoculars and stuff like that, that's of course personal preference, if this is something you really need, or perhaps not necessarily. Now we spoke about blue, and let's talk about what can you do if you decide, for example, to upgrade your experience or to make it nicer, but not necessarily by booking Aqua Class or a concierge or anything else. So I would say, and again, as I mentioned always, this is my personal preference, so this is what I think. When you book, no matter the category of the room, and we all have our preferences, some have to have the balcony, which you're looking at one, or some are okay with just a window. Some of the people I know actually prefer the interior simply because it has more privacy and it's quieter and darker, you can rest better. So we all have different preferences. In my opinion, the extra charges that you pay for upgrade don't really necessarily always have to go towards your room. I think that on Celebrity in general, because the offerings are very nice out there, you can go with any category or room that works for you. But for example, if you want to upgrade your personal experience as far as dining goes, you could perhaps purchase unlimited specialty dining package, or maybe just the several times you would like to go for specialty dining without committing for the price of the whole cruise. I know that sometimes they would sell on the website 3 nights of specialty dining, not 4, or just one particular for specific dining. But one of them I would like to talk about, and it's the restaurant that's called Murano. Murano is actually only on this class of ships, from my understanding. Unfortunately, on the newer, the Apex, the Beyond, they don't have it. But it quickly grew on me to be one of my favorites, if not the favorite, on board Celebrity. This is more of an old school, I almost want to say sort of a gentleman club vibe restaurant. Imagine dark wood, amazing menu, French inspired. But yeah, I feel that every cent in this restaurant, and I've been on different ships on it, it's really worth your money. My personal favorite go-to would be probably the lobster bisque and the Murano lobster. The Murano lobster has been cooked right next to you by your waiters, flambe, cognac. Come on, you can't go wrong with that. And of course, the French crepe with strawberries and ice cream for dessert is to die for. So yeah, if you ask me, I would probably book for myself perhaps a regular balcony next time. Of course, again, depends on the price. A regular balcony with perhaps unlimited dining, specialty dining, that I can actually go to Murano or something like similar every single day just to make this vacation special. I do enjoy the benefit, of course, of accessing to the thermal the spa area, which is, as mentioned before, the the saunas, and you have some hot stone beds and everything. But for me personally, I don't necessarily need it every day. I would maybe purchase a 1 or 2 or 3 times access to that if the price is right. But yeah, if that would be my personal decision next time, I would probably go with a regular balcony with unlimited specialty dining, and I can promise you, you will not regret it just because the food is to die for. Let's talk about the drinks. Where should you have your next drink? And this is for those of us who do enjoy the alcoholic beverages. Where should you go? So, in this particular ship, I have to say, from all the times that I stayed on board, my favorite restaurant was the Aqua Class bar. This restaurant, from my understanding, I think it exists on this ship, a few more. One of them would be Beyond, actually. But yes, this, from all the ships I tried so far on Celebrity, this is my favorite Aqua Class bar. First of all, for the crew. Outstanding team of people who not only make amazing crafted drinks, but also are amazing, very, very interesting individuals. And I will give my shout here, and I made the list, hopefully not to forget everybody. If I did, I do apologize. But Bruna, of course, friend, big hugs for you, girl. Duran, Charlie, Anna, Gregory, and many more. They all are just outstanding people who just make it special for attending there every day and feeling like you are very welcome, remembered, and just something that, you know, how should I say it? It's not the regular cruise line bar experience. So yes, I would definitely recommend the World Class Bar. And if we do the World Class Bar, let's see, I made a list for you guys of things that I might recommend you booking there for next time. So one of them would be, and I'm reading here just from something I prepared for myself not to forget. One of the drinks would be something that's called Banana Republic. And Banana Republic, imagine your espresso martini, but it's an espresso martini that actually made with tequila. And yes, I know it sounds very weird, but surprisingly, it's very, very tasty. It's actually garnished with a dry banana that they dehydrate right here on board. And it's very, very delicious. So I do recommend that. Another drink would be, it's called the Zacapa Old Fashioned. Sounds like a very, very regular old fashioned, nothing special about it. However, it is very light, in my opinion. It's more smooth than your regular old fashioned. It's actually garnished with some chocolate on top. So yeah, this is something not to miss. And outside of the World Class Bar, let's see, what else do we have? In the coffee shop, and you know me, friends, when I don't have espresso makers in my room, and obviously in this one, I do not, because it's not a suite. The El Bacio coffee place, it's your go-to for coffees. Now, besides coffees, when you are in the mood for something a little bit stronger, they do have the, and I maybe mispronounced it, but it's called the Tia Cappuccino. It's basically your salted caramel version of espresso martini. It's very, very light. You almost don't feel any alcohol in it, but it's a very, very light, sort of a desserty coffee kind beverage. You can even, perhaps after you go to Moreno or any other restaurant on deck 5, keep walking towards the Centrum and just stop by and ask for this drink as your dessert. This is something I would probably do because those drinks are very, very delicious. And if you are opted for the packages or just want to indulge one drink or something like that, this is a very, very nice option. Well, we ate, we drank, we hopefully rested in the room. Let's talk about entertainment. Now, on reflection from all of the experiences for all the cruises I had, there's quite a few shows. There's actually 2 production shows, and there is one show that I'm not sure if to call it a production, but that's the one I will be talking about, and it's called the Broadway Cabaret. The Broadway Cabaret is basically selecting or collecting those incredible vocalists from the production crew on board the Reflection, and they make sort of a gesture evening, performing and singing songs from your favorite Broadway shows. I feel that this show, first of all, perhaps not the most visual wow effect, even though, yes, there's a little bit of acrobatic show mixed with that and stuff like that, but it actually showcases incredible talent and incredible voices of that crew, the team, the entertainment team that we have on board. And this is not something we always can see during the regular production shows. The regular production shows always very beautiful, you know, there's the wow effect, there's like things coming out of the stage and things like that, which is great, but we not necessarily always can see how every performer can showcase his or her voice. In this show, I highly recommend to attend to that simply because it's more intimate vibe to it, and you can actually sort of get more familiar with the people who making the shows for you with their talent, and enjoy a very, very nice evening, kind of like a combination of a musical and a concert. So yes, don't forget, don't miss the Broadway Cabaret. We covered most of the things, the major things on this cruise, but I will speak about something a little bit different. Since those 4 cruises that I did were a little bit spread, so as I mentioned, the first one was 5 nights in June, then I had another 5 nights, I think, in July, and now I have basically 2 cruises back to back. 1 cruise is 3 nights and 1 cruise is 4. And many times I have this conversation with people. They ask me, how do I feel about shorter cruises? Do I like them? Do I don't dislike them? You know, and everything in between. And I have to say that, in my opinion, the shorter cruises probably are not, or harder, I should say, for the cruise line to showcase the best things they have. And that would be for several reasons. First of all, simply just because of the length of the cruise, it's harder to show, for example, on all the entertainment options they have. For example, as mentioned before, they do have 2 main sort of Broadway style production. There is one Broadway sing-in production, which I mentioned before. There is also several guests. For example, you have sometimes a singer, you have sometimes you know, a magician, something like that. When you do a shorter cruise, for the obvious reason, you can sometimes have everything showcase. So for example, on a 3-night cruise, you would have only 1 production, and then perhaps 2 guests who will be performing different nights. On a longer cruise, which I did, the 5 nights, yes, you would have probably all 3 of the productions they have, plus the 2 guest you know, artists that been invited on board. So I feel like the longer the cruises, the more opportunity the cruise line has to showcase everything they can offer. They do try their best to basically, you know, kind of like compress everything into a shorter period of time when you are on the 3-night or 4-night, for example, but it is obviously not as wonderful or spread or, you know, chill as it is on a longer cruise. I also feel that many time guests, we usually, when we go to a shorter cruise, we're trying in a very short period of time to try everything, and, you know, we're trying to make sure that we maximize our time. And because of that, the whole vibe on the cruise is, I would say, quicker. Everything is faster. We kind of rush in everywhere, and so it's a different vibe. It's less of a relax. It's more of a party vibe, I would say, and it really depends on who boarding the ship. Sometimes, you know, the vibe of the ship, because of the guest, is very hype and quick, and, you know, everything is very alive. Sometimes people who boarded the ship, just in general, more relaxed, more calm. So it really depends on that. I always say one thing. I would take any short cruise always over no cruise at all. That's for sure. Simply because, come on, who doesn't like to be on a cruise ship? But yes, just keep that in mind when you're booking your shorter or longer cruises. Depends what you would like. If you are looking for more quick party vibe, you know, sort of like, you know, more hype atmosphere, I would definitely go for the shorter cruises. Even if you want to stay longer on ship, just perhaps consider to do 2 back-to-backs. But if you would like more probably relaxed vibe, or something that more recharge and, you know, more quiet, have your time more spread, I would probably look into the longer cruises, no matter which cruise line really, but then you have more opportunity to really try everything. The cruise line has more chance to showcase everything great they have to offer. Well, my friends, this is it. I hope I was able to cover most of the questions or things you would like to know about the beautiful Celebrity Reflection and the 4 times I stay on this ship for the past several months. Of course, if you have any questions, comments, or anything you would like to share on your end, don't forget to do that below. I always enjoy to read your comments. Always do not forget to subscribe and share everything I'm posting, simply because that helps me to keep doing what I'm doing and to share my experiences with you, my friends. But aside that, thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for spending your time with me. Up until next time, I'm your Hedge.